You're good to go.
Okay, thank you. Hello, welcome to the January 15th meeting of the Northborough Historic District Commission. My name is Bob Light, Chair of the Commission. Just to read the meeting script. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to the extending certain COVID-19 measures, this meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No person in attendance by members of the public will be permitted. The order allows the Historic District Commission to meet entirely remotely, so as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. All members of the Historic District Commission are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. This meeting will feature public comment. Each vote taken this evening will be conducted by roll call vote. Each member, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Leslie Harrison.
Here.
Brian Swanson.
Here.
Amanda Millette. Millie Milton.
Here.
Tom Reardon is out, I know. Brian Smith. Brian Smith.
He's muted. Hold on.
What about now?
Now you're fine.
Good.
Okay.
You're here. Lorna Van Horn. Lorna?
Here.
Okay. And Rudiger Volk. No? Okay. So the first order of business is going to be the public hearing for the purpose of reviewing the demolition request for 9 Church Street. And the way we're going to do this is I want to review the historic buildings bylaw, and then we will review the historic nature of the property, have a discussion by commission members, and then we'll open it up to public comment. After which we will then have further deliberation and a vote as to whether the property is a historic building. So to start, what I would like to do, let me share my screen. Okay, if everyone can see my screen, this is basically what we're obligated to do under Historic District Commission under Chapter 2.36 of the town bylaws of historic buildings. And the object is to, in order to protect the historically and accurate architecturally significant buildings within the town, and to encourage owners of such properties to seek out persons who might be willing to purchase, preserve, rehabilitate, or restore such buildings rather than demolish them. Now, the key is that a significant building is defined as, first requirement, it has to be 100 years old. And then it's researched and found by the commission to be historically significant, or it's listed on the National Register of Historic Places, included in the Massachusetts Historical Commission Inventory of Historic and Archaeological Assets, or is in the town historic district. And we've been following the procedures. We received the receipt of the demolition permit documents last week. we had within 30 days to schedule a meeting. We scheduled the meeting this week. And we are now having a public hearing. Now, if in turn we find that the building is a significant building, the bylaws essentially require that we issue a 180-day demolition delay. And then during that period, which could be shorter than 180 days, is to determine whether there is an alternate to demolition. Okay. So the building in question, let me excuse me.
Bob, I just noticed that Rudy did join.
Oh, okay, Rudy's here. Hi, Rudy. So the Church Street property, 9 Church Street, is the old Margaret Page house and the William Ellsworth house. It was built, we believe, around 1880, although some indications are that it was built in 1870 or thereabouts, but it obviously is 100 years old, over 100 years old. The Page family is known for they worked. I think they owned the Northborough Hotel, which was located basically around the corner on West Main Street. Very historic building that had burned down. It was later owned by the Ellsworth family in the 1930s, and William Ellsworth was worked as a comb-maker and a conductor on the railway, I believe. Well, and he, I believe he also was a fire in the fire department and basically walked next door to the old firehouse to go to work. The children of the Ellsworth, one was a Gold Star mother. Her son was killed in Vietnam, and the park, Ellsworth McAfee Park, was named after the son. This is the picture of the property before this Church Street was widened, and this is the picture as it is today, with essentially the front yard had been essentially cut in half, and there's a fence up there right now. I do have pictures. We had some of us inspected the house on Monday. Brian Smith and Lois inspected the house along with the contractor Bob Berger, and we took some pictures of that. So I would like to now, and again, keep in mind that whether for whatever reason it's determined that the town would be better served if the house was demolished, our job is really to determine whether the house is historically significant. That's basically what the bylaws require, and to seek alternatives. If there are no alternatives, then we would then inform the select board and the building inspector that they could go ahead with the demolition permit. So I'd like to open it up to any other comments about the house from the commission.
Could you tell us
Yes.
about your site visit?
I'm sorry.
Could you tell us about your site visit, the tour of the house?
Yes. In fact, if you'd like, I'll show you some pictures.
Yes, please.
The house does require a lot of work. 1 second here. Oh. Okay, sorry, let me find it. Okay. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
So this is the front room facing facing the street, and on the south side of the house. This is again the front room from the other side. This is the kitchen on the downstairs. This is the bathroom off of the kitchen on the first floor. This is the back room on the first floor. And you can see the fence and the backyard. This is the second floor front bedroom. It would be the front, and this would be facing West Main Street, and this would be facing Church Street. This is the small kitchen on the second floor. My understanding is that the house was converted to a two-family house to accommodate the Ellsworth daughter or son who lived with the parents. This is the back bedroom, second floor. This is the second floor bedroom facing the street. Again, there's downtown, West Main Street and Church Street windows. Nice, very nice floor length windows. From the front door, this is the stairs going up to the second floor. This is the basement. Another view of the basement. Notice the tree trunk holding up the house. And these are the stairs. Definitely needs work on the stairs going up from the basement. And this is another picture of as you walk in the front door to the left, this is looks like the living room area, which I've shown before. Okay.
Thanks.
So one thing is that in the bylaws, it talked about, if anyone's interested, it talked about it being listed on the National Register of Historic Places. This house has not been. But it also said included in the Massachusetts Historical Commission inventory of historic and archaeological assets. So I questioned Jennifer Doherty of the Massachusetts Historical Commission just to confirm that that refers to Macris, and she claims that it does. And this is in Macris. There is a write-up in Macris. It's NBO 35, NBO 63. And then the other thing is it in the town historic district? And it is not. So the question before us is that it's 100 years old. It is in Macris. Is it historically significant based on many factors? The Massachusetts Historical Commission has said that a property in Macris is not automatically historically significant, even though the bylaws kind of indicate that it would be, but it isn't. So That's the question before us. Are there any questions or comments from the commission? Oh, and by the way, for purposes of this public hearing, Millie is going to recuse herself from the commission as the owner of the property, but she will be available, obviously, for answering questions, and she will be available to comment as a public citizen.
I wonder if Millie would share a word with us as to her uh, predicament. Millie,
What do you mean by predicament?
well, uh, predicament that she has a building that's she's
Maybe,
building. Yeah.
Well, maybe, Millie, you might want to, we invite you to make a comment as to the history of your purchase and
Okay.
what steps you've
Okay.
taken.
Can I preface it with an additional question too?
Yes.
Millie obviously loves historic properties in town and has been very committed to preserving others. So
Yeah.
I would use, I guess, Brian's term predicament to see it. I guess it surprises me that you, of all people, would want to take down this. So I'm sort of curious what the thought process behind that is.
Okay.
Especially given your commitment to historic properties.
Yes, and I have a bit of a dual commitment here, and one is for our downtown and improvement of our downtown. And this is a pretty significant location in our downtown. I have acquired 2 other parcels that are adjoining to this, but this is a critical piece. One being the old fire station, and then the vacant lot that burned down on 40 West Main Street. So this is a middle piece that does not necessarily have, in my opinion, historical or architectural significance. It's a building in our town that is really not adding anything to our town at this point. It's been vacant for 20 years almost. The previous homeowners didn't really keep it up and have much for updating, as you could see on the inside. So as far as a piece of property that would add relevance or significance to our downtown area, I did not consider this a piece. As far as the old fire station, that is something that I consider a welcoming point in our town and would like to recreate something along those lines in this piece by joining 3 pieces together. Rudy?
Yeah, thank you. I hope I can speak. Also, I know that I cannot vote, but speak.
Yes, of course.
I've a couple of questions. One, also since you addressed it, what is your plan to do with the lots? You indicated with your last words that you might include in your plans maybe the old fire station. Is it true, or what I hear out of it? Without knowing now if the existing building, also 9 Church Street, could be implemented into the plan. But just only a question. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, if I may. Unfortunately, the old fire station is in such disrepair, it cannot be saved. And it was one of the criteria for the purchase of it was that it was likely to have to be torn down. It's unsafe. So that building as it exists today will not be able to be saved. That being said, I did look into, I bought this property almost 5 years ago with trying to figure out what there might be for options to do with it. And I did look into actually moving it or seeing if that was going to be a viable option, but when I talked to a house moving company, they basically said there were about 70 or 80 different crossings of telephone pole wires that no matter what direction we moved it in, it was going to be probably cost prohibitive to move it and extremely, I would say, disruptive to either major roads in the town or services because of where we're located. It's not a building that I think would even stand up well to being moved. It's not it's not a strong building, if you will. It definitely has some age. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Okay, Lois Vanderkoppel Smith at 97 Main Street. So I'm the one who writes the Facebook articles on the historical assets in our town, and your house is 9 Church Street. And I was part of the walkthrough. And a couple of things that I noticed when I was doing the walkthrough that gave me concern was on the second floor in the kitchen area, one of the walls is kind of collapsing because the chimney behind it is collapsing. And that would be something that would be very difficult to be made safe. And the other is questionable electricity in there because the electricity is really old, and that may be a fire concern. I'm not sure.
Millie, has the building department inspected the house for whether it needs to be condemned?
The 9 Church?
9 Church. I know they did for the fire station.
No, they did not.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the commission members? Yes, Rudy.
Yeah, sorry. So I was today. I walked around. I missed, unfortunately, the walk through the house. From the picture, I could see that the house looks very original. So not much were done, which is, for my sense, kind of good. But that's my comment implements also that the owner should, at the end of the day, decide what to do with the house. But I was considered at one point just maybe to put the thoughts into it, since the house is very well preserved in my sense, that the original wood and walls are all intact, or the windows, or it's code violations all over the place, of course, but that this is a part of the old house, is to move it backwards in case, as an option maybe, with a new building code that you, Mrs. Milton, could plan around it. So maybe save the building, save some building opportunities, or not to have some building opportunity. To build something new, so build around and add it to your assets in the future. So in case that this would be an option for you, would you go like this, to push just the house backwards? I don't know how much it costs, of course. This is not known to me.
Are you asking if I would consider moving the entire house in itself backwards?
Correct.
I really hadn't thought much about that. I think that would probably be a very costly endeavor, and I don't really know that it would salvage that much.
Okay.
I want to just note that Amanda is in attendance. She just missed the roll call. Brian Swanson, just to note that in the minutes. Are there any other comments from commission members?
Just curious what your impressions were. We got Lois's impressions, and I know you showed your photos, Bob, but not really any impressions, did you? And did Amanda go too?
I was not able to make it, no.
Okay, all right.
My impression is, well, it is in disrepair. It is not architecturally interesting. Not that I'm an expert in architecture, but there are serious historic considerations. The age and the two families that live there and their importance to the town. That would be my comment. And again, it becomes a judgment call whether that is significant enough to call this a significant historic building.
Do you have the criteria handy that we can go through that? in
Yes.
terms of- I think that would be helpful to go through that exercise.
Well, the
Talk about
criteria from what they said is basically it's researched and found by the commission to be historically significant or architecturally significant. So it is a subjective call to us to determine whether it's historically significant. The other thing, and this is where I think the bylaws are a little bit vague because then there's an or. So if you're reading government regulations, it's very important as to whether there's an or an and after the paragraph. But in this case, there's an or, and it says listed on the National Register of Historic Places, which it is not. Or included in the Massachusetts inventory, which is MACRIS, which it is. And it is not in the town historic district. So it comes down to whether, and then based on Massachusetts Historical Commission guidelines, being on MACRIS doesn't automatically make something historically significant. So it really falls back to the commission to determine whether it's historically significant.
Wait, but I thought you said it's an or then, so it's.
The way I read it is our hands are tied, but I might want to open this up to Norm at this point because we had this discussion earlier. Norm?
Well,
Because
you're the new chair, so I'm gonna let
Oh.
you figure out. I hate to do that to you, Bob, but you're the new chair, so you figure out it. It is a gray area. What I would recommend is if there's a quirk in the bylaw as written, that's the kind of change that can be done at town meeting. If you think you could make it clearer, you can easily
Right.
change.
I think this document does need some work, but in any event, I would rather the commission determine on its own that it is or is not historically significant.
And that's what we've done in the past. We have to take
Right,
the burden
and-
of kind of what is significant. And sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes it's gray, and sometimes, if it's appropriate at some point, I did have a few comments I'd like to make, but you haven't opened it up to the general public yet.
I haven't yet, but it looks like, is there any other comments from the commission?
Well, I'm just in terms of the criteria for determining whether it's historically significant. I know it's up to us to do that, but are there criteria for? I thought we've gone through those before, sort of bullet points of whether to determine whether it's architecturally or historically significant. Is that not?
Well, it's historically significant in the fact that a building that is over 100 years old, that basically did not have any significant people living there, might not be considered historically significant.
Given who the residents were, it
In
is.
this case, the residents
Make it so, okay.
could make it so. I mean, that would be up to us to decide, but they were two essentially important or famous families of the town. And that could make it historically significant. It's not nationally significant, but it could be locally significant.
The way I interpreted it in the past, Bob, I think we talked about this. When in the past, my interpretation, when it came to the Historical Commission to make a decision, it comes to us as a historic building. Now, the decision for us was to continue that it's historic or to realize that no, it's not of significance. That's the logic I had used in the past.
And I think that's a fair interpretation. that the fact that it's on Macris doesn't automatically make it historic. It is 100 years old, so that's why we're here tonight. And it becomes up to us to make that argument.
But if there's an or and it is on Macris, to me, that does not feel like a gray area at all.
Yeah, but you're making the decision to if it should continue or not.
I understand, but if the bylaw says, or it's on Macris and it is on Macris, to me, that sounds like it doesn't sound gray to me at all. It sounds legally.
Yeah, and one of the confusion things is that the Massachusetts Historical Commission has said that being on Macris doesn't automatically make it historically significant. So the bylaw in essence has an issue with the or. It should have been more like an and.
No, because if it were if being in Macris made it historically significant, there'd be no reason to cite them both, because one would be right. To me, it sounds
Right,
very
right.
deliberate. Sounds very deliberate that it is or because it's not necessarily historically significant if it's in Macris. So to me, that sounds deliberate and does not sound like a.
And I think that's a fair interpretation. In fact, I took the same interpretation by reading it. The letter of the law, the letter of the bylaw indicates that it's in Macris. And at first I thought that maybe they were referring to another list inventory of assets, not Macris. But I did confirm that wording that's in the bylaw refers to Macris. Okay, if there's no other comments from the commission, we will have a chance to do further deliberation. I'd like to open it up to public comment.
Please state your name and address.
Lois Vandercouple Smith, 97 Main Street, Northborough. So, yeah, so the write-up in Macris was done in 2007. And even then, on architectural significance, it said that it has lost some of its architectural significance because it has aluminum siding on it now. So the outside is aluminum siding, which is not over 100 years old. It's fairly new. So Macris was kind of saying that some of the, if there was architectural significance before, it has been greatly diminished. And then the other thing I wanted to say was, when I posted this in 2003, I interviewed you, Millie, and you said that at that time you contacted the Ellsworth family to see how they felt about the house. And you said, by that time it had already been vacant for 9 to 10 years. And you're talking with them, they said, according to you, they said that, well, the house meant a lot to them. It had come time for them to let it go, that it wasn't doing anything for their family anymore. So maybe you want to say a little something about your discussion with the Ellsworth family?
I'd be more than happy to, because when I first acquired the property, I actually had approached them a year or two before, because I had looked at it as a sort of an anchor piece for our town. I tried to be as mindful and open and transparent with them about what I was possibly looking to do. I had spoken to 2 of the members of the family. And it was actually after about a year of just talking to them that they decided to put it on the market, and they did sell it to me. Knowing that I may or may not be, I didn't have a specific plan. But they did feel that it was time for them to let go of the house. And it was it was not an easy decision for them to make. And in fact, I did just email, I believe it's one of the granddaughters, to let her know where we're at and what we're looking to possibly do, in case she wanted to go through the house one more time. This I have gotten no resistance from the family. I've gotten no uh, conflict from them. I do feel the town has done a really good job of commemorating the family with the monuments and the parks and the names that we have put forth in our town. It is a significant family, and I do think that our town has done a good job of trying to commemorate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Norm.
Norm Corbin, 35 Whitney Street. I have a couple points. First, I want to commend Millie for looking at possibly moving the property. Not most of the places that we've done in the past for possible demolition, it's very rare that the owner would actually even consider investigating that option. So the fact that you did that is above and beyond what most of the other owners would have done. Second, keep in mind that when a building is demolished, at least the Historical Commission has a list of companies that like to look at homes for reusing wood in fixtures and whatnot. So if it comes to demo, I think there's a list of a few places that might want to contact. And in the past, we've had some good luck where some of the antiques in town, the wood was removed.
Yep.
For future use.
I actually have that in mind for the wood floors, possibly.
That's usually the highlight is the wood floors. And finally, I know you, I have never seen it, but you have a concept of what you would like to do with the 3 lots that you have. Would you be willing to give us an idea, with the demolition of this building, how it fits into that picture?
So one of the things that I would love to do, you're going to get me excited talking about what I think can happen. I love the old architectural features that we have going on in our town. I think we have a lot of, unappreciated ones. And my design is to hopefully bring those features into this plan that I have. And that includes the fire station look, the arch, the brick, just the homage to that look as an entryway into our town. Because the 3 parcels each individually are pretty small, there wasn't really going to be any ability to do anything such to that scale on any one of them, which is why I'm combining 3. But yeah, there's stained glass, beautiful stained glass at the library that people don't see because it's not lit up at night, or there's really beautiful other architectural features that I think are parts of 4 West Main Street, or the little bank near 30 Main Street, that I would like to recreate a lot of that look in our center of our downtown as a mixed use, probably some residential, some retail, and some hospitality.
Thank you for that. Good luck.
Thanks. I hope I live long enough.
You now have to just get rid of that gas station.
I'm going to be a historical significance.
Okay, any other comments from the public? Yes, please, identify yourself and your address, please.
Rob Berger, 46 Washburn Street here in Northborough.
Rob?
Yep, thank you. And I was at the site walk. I've been through this building many times. I've been through the fire station. I understand the task that this board has at hand. I have several notes that I've jotted down as we speak, so I apologize if I'm a little out of order, in what I'm saying, but I think all of it has some significance. This property, 9 Church Street, to me, has already been abused. The land taking that they did for Church Street turned the front of that property into an abomination. You walk out that front door, if you trip and fall on some ice, you could get hit by a car.
Yeah.
That's not going to change. If it's historic, if it's refurbished, somebody could get really hurt. The power is off in that building. The water is off in that building. The heat is off in that building. There's no lights. It's a target for vandalism now. We got to deal with this quickly. I know you talked about the building probably was vacant for a minimum of 20 years. If this board votes to make it historic, My opinion is you should take that 20 years of sitting vacant to accommodate that 180-day period. It goes away because it sat for 20 years with nothing being done to it. As for it being moved, besides the power lines that have to come down, the disturbance to Main Street and West Main Street, which is a huge traffic thrush that has grown over the 30 some odd years that I've lived in town. I don't want to see this board disturb Millie's momentum in moving this project forward. The building was flooded during the fire of R&T Furniture, which did significant damage to the wood in the basement and the floorboards. The electrical upgrades that are needed is astronomical. The plumbing needs to be upgraded. The skeletal features of this building are abysmal. This is not something that's going to be easily remodeled, redesigned, moved, adjusted, fixed. So again, is it historic? That's your decision to make. Is it fixable or movable? I've been in this industry for 44 years. I've worked in paper mills that are 200 years old, and they just can't do anything with it. My personal comment is I travel the world as a history buff, and I look at historic structures that are gone, battlefields, historic birthplaces of presidents, of senators. The buildings are gone. My biggest disappointment in life was going to a battlefield looking for the Dunkers Church, and it was burned down, and it was a recreation. In my line of hobbies, that was so disappointing.
Mm.
So this property, if you're going to make it historic, you're going to commemorate it, put up a sign, put something on the new building that says these families lived here. But don't stop Millie's momentum in making these three properties in 100 years will be something that the new board of unborn children that are taking your place will be voting that Millie's new building now is going to be historic in 100 years, and it has to stay because she will put up a beautiful structure on these three parcels. Again, it scares me that people may break in there to try to steal the copper once they know it's vacant. White Cliffs, when we first acquired that, I have 3 police scanners because I have firefighter family members. And all you heard when White Cliffs was purchased, was kids breaking in, kids breaking in, kids breaking in, to the point where they had to put up cameras, listening systems. It's going to be a target. So we have to work fast here. And if you're going to deem this historic, 20 years of sitting vacant, to me, eats up any waiting period that's going to be required. And again, the momentum that Millie has developed, all the great things she's done in town, I think that as a citizen of Northborough, we have to encourage her project and make sure it goes forward quickly, cost effectively, and waiting 180 days is going to put a financial burden on the demolition of not only the fire station, which we got the permit today, but on the house, because they have to happen together. Concom, in our approval, has stated that we cannot work towards the brook. We have to work away from the brook. Therefore, demolishing the fire station, demolishing the house, removing the foundations of the old R&T furniture has to flow towards West Main Street. We can't work near Cold Harbor Brook. It's just not permissible by Concom. So in order to do this right and appropriately, we have to work with 9 Church and 13 Church simultaneously to do it right, do it safe, and get this done. So I appreciate your time. I apologize for bouncing comment to comment, but I just wanted to get all that out.
Thank you, Rob. Millie.
I can also add that the property, as well as the one next to it and the fire station, do have hazardous and contaminated waste. So even to make something habitable again, it would have to be cleaned up. the dirt, the soil, the dirt.
Okay, any other comment? Any other comments from the public? Okay, we'll close public comment and go on to final discussion and a vote. I just want to start by, I want to raise one issue. If I may go back to our bylaws again. Now, should we vote either yes, it is historically significant or not? It puts a 180-day demolition delay. However, according to bylaws, that the commission, after notification of the inspector and the selectman, that the property is under a delay, that if at any point the commission is satisfied that there is no feasible alternative to demolition, this notice will be in writing and will occur at any time during the 100-day period. So what that tells me is that if there is a demolition delay, at some point within 100 days, we could then notify the town that it is now permissible to demolish, because there's no reasonable way to preserve the property. So that's always an option that it could be less than 180 days. And to do that, we could basically look at the history up until now of what was done to try to preserve the property and what some of the impediments are. And there were some very good discussions as to what the impediments are, what the current condition of the house is, which is not in good shape. And we could come to a conclusion in less than 180 days. I'd be open to comments to see if I'm interpreting that correctly, but it does say this ruling by the commission that there is no alternative to demolition could be made anytime during the 180-day period. Okay. So that being said, we could, if there's any other further discussion. Yes, Rudy.
Yes, I have I come back to Mrs. Milton about the cost of moving. So you mentioned 70 poles has to be removed, and can you reveal the amount of money which needs to be done, and to where did you had considered to move the property? Do you have any idea where to move it when you come to 70 poles? So that's only that the public knows how much effort or money basically at the end of the day needs to be provided to move the property.
I was not given an estimate based on the amount of work that would have been needed. I did not find a company that was interested. And that was probably 5 years ago when I originally purchased it. So even if it was an estimate, I wouldn't use that now. But yeah, it was actually under Norm's suggestion. I don't know if you remember that, Norm, but talk about, I contacted a company in Connecticut that does this, and I filled out a bunch of paperwork for them to look at. And it was actually pretty comprehensive, but we never got to the point of an estimate.
Doesn't that rely on where you're moving it to?
Yes, it does, because I did not have that end game.
Yeah.
It would have had to have been a purchaser.
And additional to this, I have a question. So if 180 days delays a building project 1 year, it's not only 180 days, it's approximately 1 year, because next winter, so it gets only demolished this year, and then next year you can only plan to the earliest time point. I think, and if there's no alternatives, then I would also see that there's no bigger benefit to delay the demolition. Also, in case that's my own opinion, and when I oversee this, and I agree, to use your momentum, also that seems quite feasible.
All right, if there's no further discussion,
Can I say something?
yes, please.
I'm Alan Arsenal. I know Millie quite well. I've done a lot of work for her, but I guess I'd like to make the statement as well as the concern of moving the house. The house is balloon framed, which means the first floor goes right up continuously to the second floor. And if you look at the understructure in the basement, the amount of rot and damage and not properly framed to what I would consider be a movable property, it just doesn't make sense. I think you're going to wind up with a collapsed piece of pile of wood, and where it goes and what happens could be dangerous as well. But I do know that Millie's intentions are to do a great job for the town and really make the town proud of what's going to be there. So I just wanted to let that to be part of the consideration. And historic value, again, I've looked at the property. I've been in the building business for 45 years, and I see no significance that would call my attention to. If someone even wanted parts of the house, I would be, as the floors and stuff like that, I can see some significance. But, anything painted is got lead paint on it. The cost of repairing that and getting it to a usable state, I just don't see it. And I'll close with that.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just say one thing on the moving of the building. If memory serves, the Doyle Photography Building, which was just kind of like across West Main Street from the R&T space, they tried to just give the house away. And that to me was a much, more, it looked a lot nicer than Millie's, the 9 Church Street, and they couldn't find anyone to take it. So they just eventually had to tear it down. So that's what I have to say.
I actually looked at that building too.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just make a comment that there are two issues. We are going to determine whether the building is historically significant. The second issue, which maybe is a second step, not for this meeting, is there alternatives to demolition? From what I've heard, there is not. It seems like in the best interest of everyone that the demolition go ahead. However, we're bound by the bylaws, which our task is to determine whether it's historically significant, which will be a vote for the commission. And I do believe that should we vote that it is historically significant, there is a mechanism to shorten the 180 days by coming to the conclusion that there is no alternate to demolition. Any comments against that idea? Okay, then I would like to move that we vote on, and we'll do it two ways. We'll just say, yes, 9 Church Street is historically significant, or no, it is not historically significant. Are we ready, or any more comments? Okay, so moved. Leslie.
You can't move your own.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Okay, so moved. Leslie.
Yes.
Yes, it's
Historically. So
historically.
we're voting on whether this is historically
Yes.
significant. Yes.
Brian Swanson.
No.
Okay. Amanda?
Yes.
Tom is not here. Brian Smith.
Yes or no? Explain that to me.
Yes, it is historically significant. No, it is not historically significant.
No.
No. And the chair votes yes, it is historically significant. Brian, what's the count?
4-2.
Okay, so the property is historically significant. And I will write a letter to the select board and to the building inspector of the ruling. However, I would recommend at this point that Millie,
May I interrupt for a quick second?
yes,
Now that I already have, sorry. Do we have to vote on whether it's architecturally significant as well?
no,
Okay.
no.
Norm, you look like you want to say something?
Yeah, Brian Swanson mentioned the vote was 4-2. That's 6 people. Am I missing someone? I don't see 6 voting members.
I think it was 3-2.
Leslie.
Yeah, Millie didn't vote. Tom didn't vote.
Okay.
Yeah, 3-2.
I'm sorry, Bob, then go ahead. What were you going to suggest? I'm sorry.
I would suggest, Millie, hate to put you through more work, but I think if at this point you've spent a lot of time on alternatives to demolition,
Mhm.
and possibly Rob could help you on this too. If you could outline in a letter of the reasons why there's no alternative to demolition, address it to the commission, then we could use that to make a ruling that there is no alternative to demolition.
Could we use the deliberations tonight for that, or do you feel like we don't have enough?
I think we could.
I would be in support. I mean, so my
I think-
overall feelings are it's historically significant by definition. That's
Mhm.
why I voted that way, because it's very clear what the definition of historically significant is. I don't think it's architecturally significant, and I don't think it's not a particularly pretty building. I don't think it's adding anything to town, and I wouldn't want to hold up Millie's plan. So I guess that's not, I didn't vote in favor of it being historically significant because I was trying to put the demolition delay on it. So I just wanted to clarify my position on that sort of. So if we could use the deliberations, I'm not trying to rush it, but if we could, I'm just asking if that's an option.
Well, frankly, I agree with you. I would prefer, though, to have something in writing.
Okay, sounds good.
And I mean, it would mean a month delay till the next meeting. I think that's reasonable.
If I could just interject,
Yes,
when I mentioned Millie's momentum, this delay is going to cost Millie money. And I think that's unfair. When this board, I think, I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth, but I think this board is in favor of demolition of that blight, that property that is so rotted, as Alan says, it could collapse if we try to renovate it or move it. So
well, we're not planning to do that, and we're
I
only
know,
talking.
but a 1 month delay.
Millie's had this building for 5 years.
Exactly. I was gonna say that I'm not sympathetic to. I'm sympathetic to the overall project.
I
but
understand
for
that,
1
but
month, I don't.
she has not had the fire station all that time. She has an order by the town of Northborough Board of Selectmen that fire station has to come down by February. And the only way to do it properly is 9 Church Street comes down with it. So I apologize for being verbal here, but I want the board to understand that even a 1 month delay is an issue. And if everybody's in favor of that building coming down because it's appropriate, I think the board should vote. Thank you. I appreciate your patience with me. And I appreciate what you folks do.
Millie, can you speak to the, so that has not come up so far. You've not mentioned anything about the having a specific, or I missed it if you did, that there was a deadline for taking down the old fire station. Did I miss that tonight, or has that not been addressed?
No, that was a part of the agreement that the town put forth to me when I acquired the fire station.
No, but I mean the deadline for it to be February, what Rob was
Right.
saying.
That was part of the agreement.
Oh, it was
They
that date.
needed,
Okay.
they needed this overall project to move along. The issue is that I couldn't start on this project until I got the property and the go-ahead from the town, which I got on August 15th, which is coming right up on the 6 months. So we have been working diligently to make that deadline happen. And there were tenants that needed to be relocated, things like that. So we've been moving very quickly, as the town had asked. And this would be the only thing that it would put a delay in that element of what the town was asking for.
Well, then.
Well, may I ask, I'm sorry, may I ask one, if that February date, I can't believe that February date isn't movable by a month.
It
So-
would just put us out of compliance with what the town is asking for. And we have everything lined up to try to make those deadlines work.
Okay, I'll shut up. Go ahead, Bob, sorry.
Okay, well, keep in mind, we did get the demolition request only a week ago, and we had 30 days to have this meeting.
Mhm.
So we held it in a week. So we're ahead of the game. I'm, again, would feel more comfortable. We had a good deliberation tonight. I would feel more comfortable to see something in writing. But I will yield to the commission. I would like to maybe hold a vote that a motion that we will have a vote tonight as to whether there is no reasonable alternative to demolition, and then vote on that, or wait for a formal request with some detailed information about what has been done up to now and what are some of the reasons why it is impractical to avoid demolition. Does that sound reasonable? So can I have a motion to vote on whether we will rule tonight whether it is unreasonable to delay demolition?
This is a motion that we should vote on that? Is that what you're saying?
It's a motion that we should vote on that, yes. And then we'll vote. That
Okay.
way, it's not my decision.
Did somebody say so moved?
I did, yeah, Leslie.
Okay, let's second that.
Okay. Leslie, should we vote tonight?
No. I feel pressured, and I feel like the pressure is not justified, to be honest. Like you said, we got the notice a week ago, and we had 30 days, and we held the meeting, this quickly. So I kind of feel like it's within our right. So I'm torn. I think overall I'm in support of the project, but I don't like being pressured into something that, Bob, you as our chair want to follow a certain procedure, and I respect that. So I don't know how to vote on this.
No. You vote no.
Now you're pressuring me how to vote. No,
No.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess I'm voting no.
Okay. Brian Swanson.
Yes.
Yes. Amanda.
No.
Brian Smith.
No.
And I vote no. So what I'd like is now, it is possible to have an emergency meeting early on, but I'd like to just see a documentation laid out as to all that has been done and all the reasons why we cannot avoid demolition. And that will hopefully, well, will reduce the 180 days down to our next meeting. We need to do I guess we need to motion and vote that too. Do I have a motion that we ask for further documentation as to why a demolition cannot be avoided?
Not sure we need a motion, but sure, so moved.
Okay. Let's go
Second.
Leslie, oh, okay, sorry. Second, okay, Leslie,
Aye.
Brian Swanson,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Brian Smith,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay. Oops. So this hearing is now closed. Now we go on to our normal business.
Thanks,
Thank
Rob.
you all.
It was helpful to have you here. Thank you.
And Millie, it doesn't have to be very elaborate. It's just, just to document
Yeah.
our process because it is out of the ordinary to not have a 180-day demolition delay. But following the bylaws, we ruled that it is a historically significant building for valid reasons, and we need to have a reason to reverse that.
And it's in Macris.
And it's in Macris, and I agree with your interpretation also. Okay.
So just to basically go over the, maybe do you need to know who I talked to or any of that stuff for details or
Just
simple?
what's been done, but basically a timeline, because
Yeah,
this process has started a long time ago. So normally you would have an 188 demolition delay to do the things that you've already done.
right.
We want to credit that and show that it's already been done, and it's been more than 180 days since you've looked at alternates.
I also believe, if I'm not mistaken, the previous owners pulled a demo permit before I purchased it.
Yeah, but it never. But what
Right.
happened was that some of them. No, you bought it, I think, at that point, and it wasn't to be demolished, so it never went forward. It was never
Right.
voted on. Right.
Right. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
But
never.
they did pull a permit. I don't think they ever filed it.
Yeah, I don't think they did. It never came to the commission.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Rudy.
Okay. Yeah.
Rudy had a question.
Yes. So since you write it as just in thought of future issues when people come back to this kind of similar things or happening, that they can learn from you, that would be great. Also, I mean, since you went through this, that the commission becomes a source of opportunities to preserve buildings. So.
Mhm.
I would like to tap into your knowledge about this. No? Thank you.
Thank you.
And Millie, we're not looking for a 100-page thing, just a letter that basically outlines some of these things, because I think it's important that someone who was not in the deliberation is going to question, well, if it's historically significant, why aren't we doing the full 180 days? And it documents it, I think, that's important, along with the minutes of the meeting. I think it's important.
I agree, Bob. I'm glad
We'll move it as quickly as possible.
I agree. I know I was the one who said, can we just go move forward tonight? But I think you have a great point, and
Yeah. Okay.
it's important going forward, like you said, for other applicants. In terms of
Okay.
precedent
Appreciate
and
it.
all
Thank
that.
you.
Is everyone with me to continue? I'll try to be brief, but we have a lot of other business to cover. So, okay for everyone? So prior meeting minutes, you all have the latest version. Are there any comments or corrections? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of December 18th?
So moved?
Second? You?
Third,
Leslie,
approved, yeah, yes.
Brian Swanson,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Brian Smith,
Yes.
and I vote aye. So the minutes pass unanimously. The old business CPA projects, Brigham Street Burial Ground. We were supposed to, I actually had toured the cemetery again. And I've spoken to Scott Charpentier, and I do like the idea of having the 4 posts in a line. The question is whether it's going to be close together with chains or without chains. I also sent Scott the wording of we're gonna have a 7-inch by 7-inch plate is what I'm proposing, because the posts are 7 inches wide. And the plate will say that ground penetrating radar study revealed 116 probable grave sites west of this marker. So that's my proposal. I'll put it into the minutes, and you can get back to me if there's any objections or if you have alternates to that. Okay.
We still talking about it doing a site visit at some point?
Yeah, we should. Let's schedule that. Leslie, why don't you, I'm free pretty much anytime. Why don't you schedule a good time for you? And I'll send something around to the rest of the
What's the
commission.
earliest? I mean, there's a lot going on this winter. I'm traveling a lot, and so, but the earliest we would do it would be spring anyway, right? Or like, what's the latest we should meet, I guess, and then I can.
Well, I got to get back to Scott. I'm not sure what his timing is, so I'll have to do that and see how long
Who would be interested in going?
I will.
Okay, so Amanda, Brian, all right, let me take notes here. My pad. Okay, so Amanda, Brian Swanson, and Bob. Anybody else?
Wait, for what was this?
To go to the Brigham Street Burial Ground and figure out the separation.
Yeah. There's
I'd be
a
interested.
Okay, Millie.
okay.
Anybody else? Okay, Rudy. All right, I'll send like a doodle poll or something like that, and then we can figure out a date.
Okay, good. So moving along, I'll talk to Scott and tell him what our plans are, and just make sure his timing is okay. I'm assuming that it can't be done until the spring conveniently, but you never know.
Okay, so I would be looking, we can't do evenings, obviously. I'll look at some weekends or lunchtime. I work full time, so my time's a little tight. But I would either try to do some lunchtime dates, and maybe a weekend here or there. I'll just throw a few dates into a doodle poll. Okay, thanks.
And you've all seen the pictures that I took, so if anyone wants to just, as you're driving by, take a look at it, you're welcome to, until we'll all get together as a group.
Oh, we would have Scott come with us too, right?
Yeah,
So that
makes
rules
sense.
out the weekends. So now we're back to not gonna ask Scott to come out on a weekend.
Well, even without Scott, we can at least come to a decision among us. Well, that's another issue because we would have a quorum. We can't deliberate.
Right, we can meet. We just can't.
Yeah,
We
so
can
we
meet.
can't really come to a decision until
Right.
we have our formal meeting.
But Scott can tell us about the chains and what the distances are.
Right.
Right, because you said if we only have enough money for 4 posts and distance too long, maybe we can't do chain anyway. So he can inform us. We can gather information. We just can't decide.
Yeah, we can look at, my preference would be 4 spaced out along the whole length without chains, but we'll look at that.
Okay.
Howard Street National Register update, nothing new to report. Warp Cemetery signs, Leslie, anything new?
No, I'm frustrated. It's just.
Yeah, he
we've been
didn't
getting a lot
turn
of
them, did?
Basically,
Yeah,
we've been getting a lot of lip service and they haven't done anything. And
okay,
even if it is, I'm sure it is differential warping because of the sun, but flipping it is not going to help, or it's going to take too long, and the same thing's going to happen again. So I just feel like I'm frustrated. I didn't say anything to Andy at the CPC meeting, but
Mm,
I should have. No, but so yeah, I will reach out to Andy one more time and just
okay.
express some frustration, I guess.
Legacy Tree Program, I'm happy to report I finally filed the nomination. First of the year. So haven't heard back from them yet, but it was an online application and we're arguing that it is significant by size, historical significance, and cultural significance. So we'll see what happens.
Can I go back to the warp sign thing for a second? I'm sorry.
Yep.
So what are people's feelings on how hard we should be pushing this, I guess? So we paid up thousands of dollars for these signs. They look beautiful. I was at the Boston Common Public Garden recently, and they have signs that look very similar. They're not warped. I don't know if they're a little thicker or they're made with different materials. They look pretty much the same. Ours are beautiful. We paid a lot of money and they're warped. To me, it seems like we need to get it fixed, but that's my one opinion. Am I making a bigger deal out of this than it really is? Do we care if they're warped? Maybe people don't care if they're warped. Before I push back on Andy, I guess I want to get people's opinions.
Well, my opinion was it's not that bad. The one that I would prefer would be the one that is by the old burial ground on Howard Street, the one that's next to the parking lot, because that's visible by foot. The others, you just really can't see the warping unless you're really up close. And in terms of remedy, I like the idea of them taking responsibility. He also claimed that he was either going to reverse it or replace it,
Right.
and that's fine but as long as we don't have to pay for it.
Right.
But beyond that, there's not much we can do.
Okay, so I'm going to push and say they all are warped. The oldest and the most visible one is at Howard Street, and we really feel like that. At least at the start, that one we need to move forward on.
That's
Okay.
the one, when I was there, the others, you really have to make an effort to get close to them.
Right.
They're not readily available, but the one at the parking lot is, and that to me looked like it was the most warped. And the warping from a distance of 10, 20 feet, you can't tell. So that's I don't like to let things go, but I think there's other more pressing matters.
First world problem, that's for sure. Well, that's why I wanted to get other people's opinions before I push back on Andy. Any other thoughts?
Is there a guarantee on this plate?
I mean, I don't know what the formal terms were, but he has said that he would make it right. Whether it's reversing them, or he did talk about a different material or even a thicker. I think this is 1 inch. He was talking about going to a thicker material that's less prone to warping, or there was a different type of material too. I think he talked about. I'd have to go back to the email, but
he did say he would make it right, and I'd like to hold him.
Now we have there are 5 in all, so there are a lot of signs if we pushed it to all of them. But like you said, right, the one is the most significant. It's the first one I noticed because, like you said, you park right there and like, whoa, look at that.
Yeah, that's what I would push.
Yeah. Okay.
Even the one at Brigham Street it's beyond the fence, so you'd have to climb over the chain to get close to it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And so we're done with the legacy tree. That's just basically waiting. I don't expect to hear anything from them until the spring. And then at that point, they'll probably request to visit and measure the tree and do an assessment. Nothing new on the Lyman Street Farm community. So next is the committee representatives update. So first we have CPC. I guess that would be Leslie.
Yeah, things are getting interesting with White Cliffs. So there is a request for, overall, it's a very easy year because there are very few requests. So we have pretty much enough money. We haven't made decisions yet. Our next meeting will be February. We'll probably vote on items then. So we did not vote at the last meeting largely because of the White Cliffs issues. So it's a great year in terms of fewer requests. One of the requests, which is not a big request, but is controversial, is 88,000, something like that, dollars for a study for the removal of the additions to White Cliffs. So those are not historic. So they would need to come down for historic preservation, for preservation restriction. They also need to come down because they are the most detrimental to the building in terms of mold, mildew, and things like that. So for lots of reasons, those need to come down. So this is just the study to take those down, $87,000, 88, something like that. So what the CPC said is, our charge all along has been to preserve White Cliffs, right? I mean, the town voted on it in, I think, 2016, and we're moving forward with that. But the select board has kind of stalled. They disbanded the committee that, Norm was on, and there's been nothing, no real action since then. They disbanded the committee and rejected the proposal. So the CPC would like the select board to basically give us a reason to approve it, there's a commitment on their part to move forward and to pick things up, not just long-term move forward, but to get their act together and move forward quickly. So John Campbell I wasn't able to make it to the meeting, but I did watch the recording of this past Monday's meeting, and they did come to an agreement of getting ready to do another RFP, to have another focus group or committee of some sort. So I believe that we will get what we need, the CPC needs, in order to go ahead and vote on and most likely support the proposal. And actually the amount went up by like 6,000, so it's actually 93 or 94, something like that, because the original quote did not include the hazardous waste removal of the hazardous waste materials. I think Lori had to get an adjustment to that. So it's 90 something. So that's that. And the Rev 250, is pretty, we were impressed by the monument, the placement of the monument and the proposal, and I think that'll be a no-brainer.
That's good
So,
to
but
hear.
this has been good because I think it's given us an opportunity to sort of give the select board a nudge.
Yeah, I also attended the select board meeting, and it did look very favorable, what they're discussing. Okay, moving on to the downtown revitalization, or the master plan implementation committee. Millie?
Basically, we haven't met since November. So there's no updates from the last one. We're meeting tomorrow night.
Okay, good. Northborough Revolution 250. We, as Millie said, things are moving along well in the CPC. We've already been approved for $9,000 from ARPA funding. We met today to discuss the colonial attire that we're going to be purchasing. So that purchase order is going to go in soon. There is a nice website. It's linked to the Historical Society website. If you go there, there is a Revolution 250 website, and it has our first 3 videos that are linked there to the YouTube site. So I would encourage you to look it over. And that's all I have on that. And let's see. So Tom isn't here for Fire Station Building Committee. Is there anything to discuss there? No. Okay. New business. I sent everyone a draft copy of the Historic District Commission annual report. And Leslie got back to me with a few typos, which I corrected. if it's okay with everyone, I need to submit that by Friday morning. I don't think we need to vote on that, do we? It's something we have to do anyway, so if someone wants to rewrite it, they're welcome to. Okay.
Tempting as it is, I'll pass.
Hearing no objections, then I will submit that annual report and send you a copy of the final version.
Okay, look good.
Yes. This is something, the next on the agenda is the Trinity Main Street Historical District Study. And I don't think we have time to go into any great detail. Again, I do have a copy of the 1972 study. Has anyone seen that? It's looks like it's 3 pages, and it was a preliminary study of incorporating pretty much all of the downtown area into a historic district. This was the one that went up before town meeting, I believe twice, and was voted down by close margins, but was voted down. So what we're talking about with Trinity now is they don't want to be a single building historic district. They want to have others included in it. And there are, other houses either across the street or next door, the Gale houses, the library, for example, and we could extend it further down. But I think we would have to have buy-in from the property owners. I mean, there are pros and cons to being in a historic district.
Red
And
Land Baron is here to represent at least 2 in there, so.
that's true.
Three. You said there was a third one, right? Isn't there another one? Yeah.
A third, well, this would be on contiguous on Main Street to the
Yeah, no, I think Millie said, so you've got the Say La Vie building, you've got the old bank building, and there was another one too, you said.
24 Main.
Is that right next to the bank building? Is that?
Yeah, I don't own the little bank building.
Oh, you don't? Oh, I thought you had the little bank building.
No, I wish I did. It's so cute.
Oh, okay.
It's adorable.
My neighbor used to actually, but they sold it a bunch of years ago.
Oh, I love it.
Well, it's going to require someone to go around, maybe send, we could write a form letter to the various neighbors explaining what we're planning to do.
Did you know what the basis of the objections when it was voted down twice? Do you know any history of that?
I don't know.
It would be helpful to know that.
My guess is one of the things is that you have to get permission to change the outside of your house. And, people don't want that restriction.
Right.
There may also have been objections to resale value if there are conditions to the house. There are issues, pros and cons. So
we don't have to draw like a perimeter and everything inside it so people could opt out. We could still have Trinity Church and the bank, can you cherry pick, or do you have to?
I'm not sure about that because we'd have to draw a map somehow. And it would be better if everything was contiguous.
Yeah, it'd be good to know that, like sort of what our restrictions are.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we could draw a reasonable map that we could then present to the Massachusetts Historical Commission, it would be better than if we just had individual houses outside, not connected.
Right, but we need to get approval of everybody that's included in that.
Yeah.
And that might be tougher. Yeah, no, it'd be interesting to see.
I think so. So again, I'm asking, and you don't have to answer me today, but if I'd like someone to take the lead on this to set up it's called the Historical District Study Committee. It would include people from Trinity, so I have a buy-in from them. And I would, of course, be on it. And I guess I guess all the commission members would be on it, but it does require someone to take the lead on this. The timing is that we would have to get the report done, probably towards the fall, completed, submitted to the Massachusetts Historical Committee and the Select Board, And in order to get it on, and then eventually if approved, it would have to go to town meeting in next year, 2026 would be the earliest we could get it to town meeting. So if you have any thoughts on that, could you get back to me? Any volunteers would be welcome. Amanda, did you want to give an update on the businesses and historical buildings at this point, or you want to wait till next month?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait till next month. With the holiday, I haven't had time to do that.
That's fine.
Work on that.
We received a request for the Historic Commission to weigh in on the new street name. And this was for the property that was off of Southwest Cutoff by the what was it? The Kimball Sand property. Do you know where that is? Not far from Shops Way.
Yeah.
And the name that they picked was actually a name from the early memo of 1983, I believe.
That would probably fit good.
And it was Revolt Drive. So I think we discussed this last time, and I sent a letter to them approving the name, and it went through. Millie, certified local government, again, do you want to wait till next month? Millie?
Sorry, my video is off now,
Oh.
but you guys can still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to pull together some of the blurbs that people wrote and realized I cannot seem to find them. I would love to hear from I think if Brian Smith, I'm not sure if you had resent something to me. I know I requested a bunch of resends, but I've not heard anything from Tom Reardon, and I'd really love to hear something from him because I think he would be a big asset. But I don't want to put something together that represents what he does without really having that input.
Right. Well, Tom is he's out of the country from what I understand.
Oh,
so that's why he's probably not responding.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't think we're going to qualify, but I don't want to be the one to make that call because I don't really know all the criteria that they're calling, historian or educational or things like that. I think some of us have a lot more than we're giving ourselves credit for. So I'm going to put everybody's blurb together and I'll send it out for people to approve before I send it to Jen Doherty.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. And I'm obviously, even haven't heard from Tom, at least mark that he is a architect.
Exactly, but I'd love
But he
to.
should fill in some more detail. I'm sure he can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Brian drafted a letter for 26 Summer Street, a letter of welcome, which was sent. On the 21st, the planning board is having a public meeting about plans for altering Reservoir Street, which is a scenic way. And from what I understand from the posting, it does involve a stone wall being moved. So I don't know if we have any comments about that, but I think it falls within our purview to make comments to them about any alterations to a scenic way, specifically anything that involves a stone wall. I will probably, it's the open meeting is on the 21st. If you go to the website, to the planning board, you'll see the agenda. I will talk to Lori and try to get some more clarification on what they plan to do with the stone wall. I received a request from Julianne Hirsch that they're planning to, I guess they're doing some sort of a volunteer slideshow for town meeting in April. And she's asking for pictures. So we've been putting some pictures together under the Revolution 250 of activity that we're doing. I wanted to throw it out to everyone. If you could think of any pictures that you might have of you doing volunteer work or doing some other community work, then that would be shown at town hall, if at the town meeting. If you do have any pictures and you want to send it to me, I will forward it to the person that's putting together the slideshow. Okay. Long night. Any other issues before the commission? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So
Oh,
moved.
sorry. Next meeting.
Oh.
Our next meeting is scheduled for, here's my calendar.
February 19th.
February 19th is the third Wednesday, right?
Yep.
Okay, February 19th it is. Okay, now, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Leslie,
Yes, please.
Brian
Yeah.
Swanson?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Yes.
Okay, and
Oh.
Brian Smith?
Oh, Brian Smith. Yeah.
Okay, Millie?
Yes.
And I vote to adjourn. Did I miss anyone? Amanda,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, Amanda,
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry. Oh, long night. Okay, thank you all for your diligence. in
Thank
tonight's
you.
meeting.
Thanks,
thank
Bob.
you.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we'll
Bye, guys.
see you next month.
Yes.
Good night.
Joe.